Hola clase, estas son tus Week 8 video notes y vamos a hablar del chico ideal, the ideal boy or girl, as well as a new verb tense today called the imperfect, which is one of the past tenses in Spanish. Starting with some key vocabulary, we're going to learn some of these important verbs, and all of these are in the past tense. So we're starting with era. Era. I'm just going to motion back, like in the past. Someone was. Era. This is a form of the verb ser, so it would be the equivalent of the present tense es. Era. He or she was, or I was. You'll notice about the imperfect that the yo form and the la ya usted form are actually the same, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Next one, wanted. Quería. He, she, or I wanted. Quería. Yo quería. Ella quería. Él quería. Want. Next one is tener. I'm going to do just like this, like it's mine. I have it. Tenía. Tenía. He or she had something. Tenía. Next one is smelled like. Just gonna waft in front of our nose here. Olía a. So instead of using the preposition like como, we say smelled a in Spanish. Olía a, like olía a perfume, olía a rosas, olía a limón, olía a ajo, algo así. And then last one, se acercó a. Se acercó a. Approached or got close to. Se acercó a. So now that you have those key vocabulary words written down, I'm going to take you through some sentences and I would like for you to translate. Remember that these are in the past tense. So when you see those verbs like era, quería, tenía, etc., you need to phrase your sentences in the past tense in English. Mi abuela tenía el pelo blanco y era muy independiente. That means my grandma had white hair and was very independent. Past tense. Next one. El chico quería ir al zoológico para ver un león. That means the boy wanted to go to the zoo to see a lion. Next sentence. Mi profesor de matemáticas siempre olía a café. That means my math teacher always smelled like coffee, past tense. De niño, yo quería ser presidente. That means as a child, I wanted to be president. Mi madre comía mucha fruta y siempre olía a coco. That means my mom ate a lot of fruit in general and always smelled like coconut. If you got that ate a lot, then you're applying these imperfect rules already to other verbs. Good job. Okay, amigos, I would like for you to write down your imperfect verb endings since this is a new verb tense for you. Just know that we will be practicing this verb tense over the next several units. So over the next quarter or so, we'll be really getting grounded in the imperfect and adding in another past tense as well. So the imperfect is used to talk about something that was happening or something that used to happen in the past, kind of like an ongoing or descriptive action in the past. Not a sudden action, not I went to the store, but I wanted, or I had, or I was, those kinds of verbs that we just talked about. So it's used to describe what someone was doing, what someone used to do habitually in the past. Anything that's descriptive like age, how old someone was, we use the verb tener, like when I was 8 years old. Cuando tenía 8 años. Or what time it was, we use the verb ser to tell time. So just like in the present tense, you would say son las. In the imperfect, you would say eran las. These are your endings. The AR endings are aba, abas, aba, habamos with an accent on the first A of the nosotros form, habais, and haban. And then your ER, IR endings are the same set of endings for both kinds of verbs. We have ia, Ias, ia, iamos, iais, and ian. Notice accents on all of the I's for your ER, IR endings. You will also notice that the yo form and the el, ella, usted form are the same in the imperfect and in a couple other tenses in Spanish that happens as well. So you just have to decide from context clues whether your subject is yo or el, ella. Then in the imperfect, there are only 3 irregular verbs. So ser, we've already talked about era, right? That's where we're getting era from the verb ser. So we have era, eras, era, éramos. There's always an accent on the nosotros form in the imperfect. Erais and eran. Ser, of course, means to be. Second irregular in the imperfect tense is the verb ir. Ir means to go. We have iba, ibas, iba, íbamos with the accent on the nosotros form, ibais and iban. And then the last of the 3 irregular verbs in the imperfect is the verb ver, which means to see. We have veía, veías, veía, veíamos, veíais, and veían. I'm going to take you through some practice questions here. Rafael blank, muy alto, atractivo, y talentoso. We're describing Rafael. We're saying he was very tall, attractive, and talented. So we would use that verb era. El blank, pelo negro y ojos verdes, muy bonitos. He had black hair and very beautiful green eyes. Had, that descriptive verb is tenía. Tenía pelo negro. I was reading when I fell asleep. This is an example of the imperfect being used for an action in progress, what someone was doing. You would take layer and add your IR ending on it, or ER, IR endings. So it would be yo leía, with an accent on the I, yo leía. When we were kids, my brother and I always used to fight. Again, both descriptive or ongoing actions. So we would use the form of ser, one of our irregulars, éramos. And in the nosotros form here, so you want éramos, the accent on the E. And then nosotros form again with pelear, but pelear is an AR verb. So we're going to go with peleábamos with an accent on the first A of your ending. Peleábamos. And then for telling time, it was 2:30 in the afternoon. Remember, in present tense, we use son las. So in the past tense, we're still going to keep it plural, and we're going to go with eran las. All right, couple of open-ended questions for you to answer. Cuando eras niño, ¿cómo eras? That means when you were a kid, what were you like? Give me some adjectives to describe yourself. Yo era... Cuando eras niño o niña, ¿qué hacías en tu tiempo libre? When you were a kid, what did you do in your free time? Yo jugaba con mis amigos y comía mucho. Muy bien, clase. Gracias por mirar los video notes y nos vemos mañana.